what you were going to talk about the president of the university there. He was a fascinating character.
Yeah, he's a colorful character. He has a background as a soldier and as an amateur boxer. So he's athletic, and he's I suppose you could say he's a man's man, but he also understands the university and loves it. All of the characters in their ways in the story love the university. They love learning. They love knowledge. They love research. So they're really good people in that way. And that's one of the things that binds them together. And most of the time, the ideal of knowledge and education overcomes everything else. Not always, but most of the time. But anyway, the president is also a pragmatic man, a practical man, and he knows he's got to deal with the legislature to get money for the university. So in a Machiavellian way, he knows he has to sacrifice some people. And history tells us that over 100 professors and deans were actually fired as a result of the work of the Johns Committee. And they were fired summarily. They were fired without any due process. They were just called in and told to be out by 5 o'clock, this afternoon. And one of the ironies of the actual history of the state of Florida is that, great football stadiums and enormous buildings on our university campuses are named after men who did these horrible things.
Right. Yes, you're exactly right. You don't think about that sometimes, but Florida still has issues, and one of the few states yet that still allows conversion therapy and other horrible things that go on, and which is banned in other states and banned by every viable medical and psychiatric association legitimate in the country. So that's another area that, of course, that could be addressed in the future. But your book here, in the one of the characters here that I felt sorry. Well, a guy that dies early on, that is turns out he was hiding the fact that he was Native American, I guess. And that was so sad, having known a lot of Native American and Hispanic people, because my family's over half Hispanic, it was saddening to think about that the degree of bigotry that existed here, and it still exists to some degree, but I mean, let's hope not to the extent it was at some other times here in the state.
Yeah, but, and it was written into the law. It was written into the law. It was perfectly legal to deny someone employment for being Native American or African American.
Well, it still is in some of the other minority groups in the country. Against the LGBTQ community, it's still legal to discriminate in housing in some areas of the state. It's still legal to discriminate in employment. Oh, it certainly is in some parts of the state. It certainly is. The state does not have any law preventing it. And, of course, it probably will be a while yet, too, because we have some very backward leadership that have done things to the state that have caused it to remain where it's at. It's unfortunate, but it's true. As you can probably tell, I've been an advocate for minorities for a lot of years. But anyway, back to your book.
Yes, I can tell.
The committee. It is absolutely fascinating read, and I want to encourage our listeners to go out and get. Where can they buy this book at? Incidentally, is it available at most bookstores, or is there a particular place that you'd like to encourage them to go to?
Well, I'm a little bit biased in favor of independent bookstores.
Okay.
There aren't a great many of them, but I think most towns of any size have one. And then, of course, you can get it online. That's always possible. My publishing house is Akashic Books, and I think you can get the book by going straight to their website. So that's another way to do it.
Okay, that's another possibility there. Can you spell your publishing company's name?
Yeah, Akashic, Akashic. It's a Sanskrit word. I'm embarrassed now because I can't tell you the exact meaning, but it means something like happiness or happy place or something like that.
Excellent. Okay. What do you have looking into the future a little bit here? Do you have other books planned that you're thinking about, or other novels or something that you could share with us now?
Well, I have 2 drafts of novels that are both completed drafts. They're manuscripts in the range from 350 to 450 pages each, and I'm planning to finish both of those and publish both of those. One of them is a follow-up to a novel called Sweet Dream Baby that was published in the early 2000s, and the other is also a follow-up to a novel published even before the 2000s, and that novel was called Deadly Sweet. So, but both of these 2 books, sequels, I guess you'd call them, follow the lives of characters who appeared in the published books. I was fascinated by the characters. I couldn't let them go. I just had to keep writing about them, so I did.
And I bet some of your readers wanted to know what happened to them too, as well. And that's what when I was reading through here, you often wonder what happened. I don't want to give your ending of your book of the committee away, though. But you wonder about what happens with some of these characters and the impact that what happened to them in the book, what would happen in their future lives, and how they would survive it or how they would deal with it, and so forth. So
it's always a good thing when readers want to know more, about the characters. I get those comments a lot. I'm sure most writers do. But yeah,
it means you're certainly selling the character there in the book, and the fascination with them. One of the people that I was wondering what happened to her was the wife of the guy who took his life, in the very beginning of the book. And the Native American, and which it builds out from there then, and it was it makes you wonder how she would survive and what she would do, and what would happen to her in the future and everything. So So we have a few minutes here left. I want to go through and let you summarize some of your thoughts here before we close. So tell us a little bit more about. Any more thoughts you have on the book, or things that that people can take away from it?
Okay, well, one of the things that we used to hear about a lot back in the 20th century was the high concept novel. The high concept novel was a novel that taught you something. The Hunt for Red October was a book about submarines, and you learned a lot about submarines. So it was high concept in that way. And I suppose this novel is high concept in the sense that you learn a lot about Florida politics and the Johns Committee and so on, the educational system too. But it occurred to me as I was talking about the novel recently that what brings most of us to fiction, or one of the things, is to get inside the head of a character and learn what's going on inside that person's heart and mind. It's that intimacy of the connection between reader and character. Over and over again, I've heard readers tell me that's what makes the reading experience important and meaningful to them. In fact, I'll tell you something that never told anyone before on the air. I say literature is the secret self of the writer speaking to the secret self of the reader. That might be a little bit mysterious, but think about it, and I hope your listeners will too. So anyway, it's what goes on inside my protagonist's head, Stahl, who's a complicated guy, an ordinary guy, not heroic necessarily. He is ambitious. He's compromised. He's a mixture of traits that we might consider both good and bad. But anyway, I don't want to leave the discussion without making the point that we read novels for that intimacy with the character. And I think it's the intimacy with Stahl, with my protagonist, that is important to a lot of readers.
Exactly, and that's where we're going to be needing to leave it here. You did a great summary here. You've told a great story, and it's a great novel. It's called The Committee, and it's by Sterling Watson. And incidentally, for those of you I mentioned earlier, Sterling is from this area. He taught over here at Woodward College. I'm talking of South Florida, where we're physically broadcasting from. But Sterling, thank you so much for being with us here today, and hope to talk with you more and see you more at Miami Book Fair in the future.
Well, thank you. This is one of the best interviews I've had. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, and thank you for listening. We hope you have enjoyed today's discussion. This has been Coastal Progressive and Rainbow Forum on Society Bites Radio, and I've been your host, Steve Ryan.